what's happening with your nails is a direct reflection of what's happening inside your body. What's happening with your skin is a direct reflection of what's happening inside your body. What's happening with your hair is often a direct reflection of what's happening inside your body. And I have had a tumultuous relationship with my hair my entire life. If you have followed me for any length of time, I used to have really short hair. I had short hair my whole life. I have a little bit of a hypersensitivity disorder, if you will. I probably am a little bit on the spectrum. I was a very, very strange kid and I hated having my hair touched or brushed. And so my mom kept it short. That was the deal. Until I could take care of it, I was not allowed to have it long. And then I cut it all off in high school, and much to the dismay of everybody, because I had like big, huge rocker hair at the time, and everybody wanted my rocker hair. And I had it, and it was permed, and it was amazing, and it was probably very flammable with all the hairspray in it. What did I use? Sebastian Shaper. I went through cans of the stuff, the giant cans of Sebastian Shaper. Man, that smell, whenever I smell it, I'm like, ooh, memories. Um, I have grown it out multiple times. Last time I cut it off, I thought I'd never grow it out again. And here I am. So I'm trying to see how long I can get it. Anyway, I have had an up and down relationship with my hair. And the few times I've started to grow it out, interestingly, in all cases, I've endured some level of hair loss that was significant for whatever reason. Thinking back, I remember when I grew it out when my daughter was just a toddler. She's 25 now, for reference. That was probably the first time I'd grown it out since I'd cut it off in high school. And whatever the stressor was of, I mean, whatever it was, I was a single mom. Being a single mom, dealing with divorce with a baby, and it's stressful. And as I was growing my hair out then, I was losing a lot of it, but that was probably the thickest it ever was. It was actually really good then. And then I'm getting to the point here. I'm just sharing. And because different phases of life, right? I was in my 20s then, early mid 20s. Yeah, 26, 27. Grew it out again when my mentor was dying. He loved long hair, and I, for some reason, felt like I grow it out when I need to protect myself, and I cut it off when I'm trying to get shit done. When I'm about to go to war, I cut my hair off. And when I'm trying to protect myself and calm down, I grow it out, whatever that's worth. But I grew it out again at that time, but it was the worst period of my life. I mean, up until 2020, 2021, that had been probably the hardest time of my life. Watching him slowly die of cancer, it still makes me cry. It was a long time ago. Watching him slowly die of cancer, and the treatments of cancer is what actually took him. That's what kind of was the nail in the coffin. My hair loss was so severe, and I was going through a divorce, and I've been married a few times, and I was in such a state. I remember my daughter's bedroom was next to my bathroom, and I remember every time I took a shower and washed my hair, I only washed my hair, for reference, like maybe every 4 days. And I'm just due for a hair wash. You can tell I need a little bit of hair shampoo. And it was really hard because I would lose such a tremendous amount of hair. I joked that I could have like made a dog out of it, each time. I had a Chihuahua at the time. And I was like, there's enough hair to make another Chihuahua. And I would cry and cry and cry every time I got in the shower. I don't know what it is about water, but it's very cathartic. And I would cry and cry and cry in the shower, and I'd wash my hair, and then all my hair would fall out. And then I'd cry and cry and cry about that. And my daughter was listening. I found out years later, that's the part that hurts my heart. She was listening as I just had a complete, that's where I would have my meltdown, was in the shower. And then I'd get out, and you know how it is. You like wrap it up, pull it together, get your shit done, go back to work, right? And that was the busiest year of my clinical life, was the year I had took over my mentor's practice. So of course that was busy. He was very successful, and I had to jump in feet first by myself, which, put on your big girl pants. That was a huge amount of stress, but also very exciting and really cool opportunity. And then the year he died, I had a tremendous amount of stress because I had to tell everybody that he had passed. It's a long story. But anyway, that was and that was the busiest year of my clinical practice was the year he passed. It was very strange. God gave me a real challenge that year. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing it. All that to say, I also lost a pregnancy right before he told me he had cancer. So that period, I just remember having extended hair loss and somehow it didn't all fall out. And then it started growing back. And it was crazy because I was growing it out and I had just a million little hair. I always have a million little hairs sticking out of my head, the baby hairs that are always coming back in. And then most recently, I had short hair again and all through, 2019, 2020, 2021, maybe going back to 2018, I cut it off again. Anyway, started growing it out a couple years ago, right when I started taking GLP-1s. So this is why, and I was also I'm in perimenopause. I'm still perimenopausal. I'm not fully menopausal yet, getting there. I had really significant hair loss when I started microdosing GLP-1s, which I'm going to get to in this conversation. So if you are interested in hair loss with GLP-1s, this is the episode where I'm going to talk about it. I don't like talking about any of this stuff on social media because I cannot get information across in sound bites there the way I need to. And I'm not allowed to talk about GLP-1s on Instagram. I don't have a hard and fast rule as to why. I just got deplatformed last September because I was talking about microdosing GLP-1s. I know for a fact from insiders that Big Pharma doesn't like that. And I'm pretty sure they know who I am. And I am just not going to talk about that. This doesn't matter, though. I have found it doesn't matter if you're microdosing or regular dosing. I have found hair loss to be a side effect in a variety of women. And I will talk about that.